Hey Insta family, it's Dr. Tamara here on Tuesday, Rapid Fire Q&A. I hope everybody is doing really well. How did you guys fare in the storms last night? Oh my goodness. I just got off a Zoom call and I was just about to sit down and start to do some work when bang, all of our power went out. So we had no lights. And I've got to tell you, I probably could have sat there on my laptop and started to do some work, but I totally used it as an excuse to go to bed. Has anyone else ever done that? I just went, oh, you know what? The lights are out, even though my laptop's working just fine, and I don't actually need a connection to the internet for what I need to do. I'll just go to bed anyway. So I just used it as an excuse. Of course, the lights came back on at 11:30. Oh, what's all that? And I was awake all of a sudden. How are you guys? Has anyone else had some poor weather outcomes? Anyone else fared poorly in the storms? Anyone else lost their power last night like we did? Let me know. Good to see you guys. It's rather rainy, chilly Tuesday night here in Perth. If you're coming to us from elsewhere, say hi. Let me know where you're coming from. Thank you for jumping on. It is Rapid Fire Q&A. We are 7:38 p.m. and I reckon we've got about 10 minutes. And I've got a couple of questions that have come through on direct messages. So just want to clarify from a questions point of view, really try and keep them generic. I don't want to hear your whole life story, and any answers that I give are going to be as generic as possible because, of course, I don't know your full story. So it's really important as a clinician to be asking the full history, doing examinations, investigations, and so it becomes really difficult to give specific information. My kids are laughing. I've just told them they have to go to bed. Do you reckon they listen to me? Nope. But one question I had, and look, this is a rather specific question, and I will sort of answer it. Someone has sort of asked me the question, look, I read reviews that you don't offer fertility treatment to patients with a BMI over 38. And I want to address that because, Miss Lizzie, I have seen your question. I'll come to that next. But this person asked this question, do I not do fertility treatment for a BMI over 35? And the answer to that is not really a yes and not really a no. What we do know is that obesity, which is when your BMI, in the majority of people, yes, I appreciate that some people have a high BMI because they have a lot of muscle mass, but those people also have a lifestyle where they're going to the gym and you can quite clearly see that they have a high muscle mass. But the vast majority of people have a high BMI due to a high percentage body fat. And what we do know is fat is quite inflammatory, and fat can impact on embryo quality. Fat in a male can impact on sperm quality, and fat can also be inflammatory and impact on embryo quality and also the ability for an embryo to implant. And so there is some science to the fact that we encourage people to aim to get their BMI below 35. It's not an arbitrary number, however, and I want to make that really clear, is that if somebody is working as hard as they can to bring their body fat levels down, i.e. bring their BMI down, and they are managing any other, pathologies such as polycystic ovarian syndrome to the best of their ability, then it's a discussion that we have. If somebody comes to me and they have a really high BMI and they're not doing regular exercise and they're not making good food choices, then I'm going to counsel them on the benefits that they are going to have to their fertility treatment by reducing their body fat. So part of their treatment for fertility starts by actively moving towards decreasing their body mass index. That's when the fertility treatment actually starts, is taking those first steps. So, when somebody comes to see me with a high BMI, maybe the first steps to their fertility treatment will actually be reducing their BMI. But that's a discussion, and that's actually a management strategy that we will undertake together. It might involve an exercise physiologist. It might involve a dietitian. It might involve talking to a specialized GP around pharmacotherapy, or even in some cases talking to a bariatric surgeon about bariatric surgery or sleeve surgery, for example. So That's where fertility treatment actually starts. We know that by reducing your body fat percentage, body weight by about 10%. So let's say for a person who's 100 kilos, if they just reduced their body weight by 10 kilos, they're going to double their chances of pregnancy success and halve their miscarriage rates. And that includes when they move forward with fertility treatment. So the time, effort, money, expense, burden that goes into fertility treatment, the outcomes are better if somebody is working on reducing their weight. So it's a discussion. Is there an absolute yes or no to that question? Will I do fertility treatment on someone whose BMI is over 35? I don't think I can be clear unless I know the full story, but certainly the fertility treatment journey starts with that discussion about weight management and moving forward there. So I'm hoping that helps to clarify things for whoever asked that question. And it's a really good one. And I think it's definitely a discussion point between the clinician and the patients, man and woman. So thanks for asking the question. Has anyone else got any questions? I did catch somebody's question before. Let me go back and see if I can see it. So Miss Lizzie asked the question, just had an FET, well done to you. In a stressful home, away from home environment, how much does stress impact on implantation? You know, I had this exact a conversation with somebody today who has had recurrent miscarriage. We were having a chat around how much stress can play a role. Very difficult to answer that question because everybody reacts to external stressors, environmental influences in a different way. Let me use a really oversimplified example on public speaking. So in case you guys hadn't guessed, I love public speaking. So this environment I love. Whereas some people will get up on a stage in a public speaking environment and absolutely shut down. They'll be so physically and mentally stressed by that exact same trigger. So everybody responds to external stimuli or external stressors in completely different ways, both physiologically with that fight or flight response, which often induces adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol stress hormones, but also mentally. So it's a really difficult thing to measure. Where stress has the biggest impact is probably in regulation of the menstrual cycle. So if someone is having disordered ovulation and they are a highly anxious individual, perhaps they're missing cycles, then there's a very real biomarker there that stress could be impacting on their life, assuming that all other causes of ovulatory disorder have been accounted for. So that's probably the biggest place where stress plays a role. Do we see a direct correlation between psychosocial stress and miscarriage rates? Probably not. It's probably not very clear and often not easy to actually measure. So whilst I think that a home away from home environment is can be quite challenging for you, you may have all the qualities and skill set and resilience to be able to adequately manage that situation. So I think you probably need to look at what are the other things can impact, such as not getting enough sleep, not eating correctly. They're the sorts of things that physiologically might impact on the wellness of your body. But I don't think there's any good, strong relationship between psychosocial stress and implantation failure. So hopefully that helps answer that question, Miss Lizzie. You've probably got this, my friend. You've probably got this. Any other questions? Oh, yeah. So I hope, Miss Lizzie, I hope that I've actually answered that for you. Hey, good. Somebody else asked me the question, do I think ERA and ALICE tests do I think they're worth it? That's a really difficult question because obviously it really depends on your clinical situation, whether I think the ERA and ALICE tests. So these are assessments of the endometrium, right? These are looking at endometrial receptivity, and endometrial receptivity I don't think is something that should be assessed in the general infertile population. I think you really want to be in a situation of recurrent implantation failure that's where you've transferred at least 3 to 4 good quality embryos and they're not resulting in a pregnancy. The big question there, and this is the thing that we debate the world over, is how do you measure a good quality embryo? Well, one of the ways we can do that is with genetic testing of embryos, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee, just because it's genetically normal, or chromosomally normal rather, that doesn't necessarily suggest that that embryo is the best quality. So there's lots of things around how we assess a good quality embryo. And that, as I said, is certainly something that is debated the world around. But one of the impact factors on whether an embryo will implant is certainly the ability of the endometrium to receive that particular embryo. And there are commercially available tests, one of which is the endometrial receptivity assay, or ERA test. There's also an assessment of the microbiome, or the sort of the environment of where that embryo is going into. That's the ALICE test. That's the EMMA test. And then there's the ALICE test, which is an assessment of, I guess, chronic endometritis, which may not be symptomatic. And in fact, about 40% of bugs can't actually be cultured, and so we're looking for the genetic material through this ALICE test. I certainly think they require more scientific rigor before I would hand on my heart say absolutely everybody should have an assessment of their endometrial receptivity. I do think, however, if you are in a recurrent implantation situation, perhaps you've already assessed the chromosomal normality of embryos and you're putting back chromosomally normal embryos and they're still not taking, and you've looked at sort of your endocrine environment, you've looked at coagulation factors, you might have assessed presence or absence of celiac, perhaps you've assessed the denofragmentation of sperm. All of those tests have, I suppose, are relatively less expensive, fairly easy and quick to do. Before you move on to these tests that are yet really to have good established research that, yes, this is an accurate way of assessing endometrial receptivity. Are there certain populations where endometrial receptivity assays may hold some benefit? Yeah, I do think there is, particularly in those who have had higher order numbers of embryos transferred, in excess of 6 transfers perhaps, where every other aspect has really been clearly elucidated, and you're down to what else could it be. There are populations of women where that window of implantation is moved, and I do think that it is worth discussing. But if it's somebody asked me, this is going to break our bank, do I think it's worth it? I would really have to evaluate your individual situation to determine whether or not an endometrial receptivity assay is indicated in you, and weighing up the options. Hello, Dr. Manny. How are you this evening? Dr. Manny is an amazing CREI specialist over in Sydney. Anyone over there in Sydney, go and see Dr. Manny. She's amazing. Good to see you. So guys, we're 7:50 Perth time. You're probably all waiting with bated breath. I know. I'm going to give you a little teaser. Tomorrow it will be released to my patients where I will be establishing my practice. So less than 24 hours away. Those patients of mine who have been patiently waiting, I'll be sending you an email to let you know what my plans are. And then the following day, on Thursday, I will be releasing in a live right here where I'm going, what I'm doing. And so you will know. You have been so patient. I'm so grateful for that. I really am. I know how, yes, thank you for the love. I really appreciate it. I know how patient you all have been, probably more patient than me, I must say. Thank you very much. But I will be letting you know tomorrow and Thursday my intentions, so you can let your friends know. Keep an eye out on socials for the next 24, 48 hours for a live where I'll be letting you know exactly what I'm doing. And next week, we will be starting the process of getting those appointments in the book. And I will be a very busy person over the next couple of months, catching up with all of you and thanking you for your patience and helping you to move forward with your journey. So thank you guys. Hopefully I have answered some questions tonight. Really appreciate you asking them. They're always really challenging for me when I get these questions. Oh, Mrs. Scarvello, 4% rapid motility of the sperm. You want progressive motility, my friends. So go and see. I'm not really sure what rapid motility, but it's sperm moving forward, progressive motility, and you want that to be at least 32%. Of course, you can always potentially fall pregnant unless there's always the potential. The only time that you're probably not going to fall pregnant is with azoospermia, nada, or zero motility. But there's always a chance of falling pregnant. It's just a probability game. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful to answer that quick question. Do I often see women achieve natural pregnancies after IVF? Absolutely. Sometimes it depends on why the IVF was performed in the first place. Could have been impatience, perhaps. But yes, we have seen plenty of natural conceptions that occur after IVF, but it often is dependent. Oh, you love my hair? Oh, thanks, Mrs. English. Really appreciate it. I'm not going to tell you how much product there is in this tonight to keep it looking like this. And I'm about to hop in the shower because I've got to go and have a photo shoot tomorrow. But hopefully that's been really helpful for you. Keep an eye out on socials over the next 24, 48 hours. I will be coming to you soon. And thank you once again for your patience and your commitment to me. I'm committed to you. Have a beautiful night. See you soon.